Welcome, Goose Gang. This is Roby Kinobi's In the Bag for season 24. Special thanks to Brandon Beat for coming out here to film me today with Beat Disc Golf and FrizzBeat Productions. Special shout out there. Really appreciate him doing that for me. Hope you guys brought some popcorn because this one's going to be a little lengthy. Alright, well, first and foremost, let's start with the bag itself. This is my Zuka Transit cart. Sort of pimped out or customed out, if you will. I've got quite a bit of work put into it. I've got the nice patches all over the top here with the Team Focus Disc Golf patch right there. Special shout out to those guys. Quite a few other patches on my little cover there as well on the inside. I've also got some custom made Roby Kinobi Disc Golf hub wheels there, as well as obviously the custom made umbrella holder here. My friends like to call it the hot dog vendor cart whenever I put this thing up, but it keeps me dry. I think they're just jealous. In addition to that, I've got these nice little putter clips made up here. The Brigsy's red and greens. They tend to hold those on pretty well, generally speaking. The umbrella makes it a little bit difficult sometimes when it's on there, but I like those pretty well. Got the cup holder back here. You gotta have a cup holder. And then obviously your retriever holder right there, the M Retriever. Special shout out to those guys. Won that actually in an auction, or in a raffle I should say, at the NADGT Championships in Austin. Humble brag. When I won my invite there last year.
What do you have on that cup?
Oh yeah, on this cup here, special DFX shout out. Nice little multicolored cup with a lot of the special multicolored DFX stickers, as well as a couple of my stickers and a few other tournament DFX or tournament disc golf stickers as well. But you can't go to the course without your cup. During the winter months, I always bring apple cider. That's sort of my go-to. I go through cases of apple cider at a time. Summertime tends to bring out the sports drink. All right. Well, after the cup holder, we got a couple of these Power Pocket 3x Fast from Infinite Discs. I've got the mini one on the back here. Holds all my rubber discs here from Elevation. Go over those later on. The one up front here has all my glow discs. A few of these are my standard use discs as well, but definitely some of my all of my glow discs are held right up there on the front there. Easy access, that way I never have to worry about having to bring a glow bag, or if the round runs a little long, if I have my glow disc with me, I know I have it. I don't have to worry about losing something. There's always a few things though that I can't ever come to the course without. Always stay attached to the bag. First and foremost is my music. I got the Bushnell disc jockey right here. Works great if the U-disc map is accurate. You can just hit that little button there, tells you how far you are from the pin. In addition to that, I've got the Disc Raptor disc cleaner here. All these nice little felt fingers here work really well at knocking a lot of that larger debris off and giving it a once-over. It's got the nice rough material on the inside there to really grab the rim of the disc and help to get it clean. But special thanks and special shout out to Disc Raptor, as well as SoFly as well. SoFly OG makes these really cool little minis, PDGA legal minis, as well as kneelables as well, so that you can use this as a nice little knee pad whenever you go to make that amazing sort of lean out knee shot. You don't have to worry about the gumballs or the roots digging into your knee whenever you're doing that. Over here on the other side, I've got, of course, a rangefinder, because sometimes you're not worried about how far you are away from the pin. You're worried about how far you are away from the water or the corner you might want to get to, etc. Over here, I've got my little grip bag. Of course, watermelon, because watermelon's where it's at. I do have a Hal bag. It's in backup. I haven't needed it yet because I've got these two. Special shout out to Drive Bags for these watermelon bags that I get from them every year at USCGC. Yeah. With the watermelon, I've got my watermelon paradox over here on the outside of the bag. Special edition watermelon paradox.
Get to that later, but just
yeah, exactly. But while we're talking about the watermelons there, oh no, I do have a nice pair of watermelon T-box socks at the house, but today I'm wearing a nice pair of T-box socks. Nice little mountain scene there from T-box socks. They also make all the really great products as well. But then I've got my collection of the bag tags. Other than the DFX one there, we've got our original set of tags here from the Broad Creek Disc Golf Course. That's where we are today. Didn't really speak too much about that. We'll maybe do a little a little flyover, a little scenic view of it to sort of tag on here at the end or at the beginning. But we definitely really enjoy the property here that the church here has been lucky enough to allow us to keep clean and everything like that. But here at Hover Links on Hilton Head Island, other than that, I think it's about time to get down to the meat of it. So, without further ado, all right, so let's get into the meat of it. First and foremost, we've got my putting putters that keep these right up here on the top. 2 glitches, both DFX stamps. Special shout out to Don for this one here. Hooked me up with this one after the fact when I missed the drop. Love you on that one. And then of course, this is really my go-to. As it says there, it's the one I haven't lost yet. I've also got a few other putters down here. Berenstein Bears from DFX. The Gorilla Limited monthly LTD one. Special edition, that was the first glitch I've got. Of course, all super lightweight, but you gotta have the glitches. They just do what they need to. In addition to that, got my USDGC Pennywise Watt there. Picked this up at USDGC with Brandon. Thank you, buddy. Went out to the practice course. First throw with this disc, I aced hole 1 at the spectators course at USDGC. So definitely went straight in the bag there. Special shout out to DFX and Marmoset for this special edition Rock Hill Pennywise Watt. Also, of course, gotta have the overstable whenever I'm looking for something to fight the wind or do a little lawn darty spike hyzer approach. Gotta have an Entropy in the bag. Nice plasma one here from DFX as well, the Hyzerfant. Awesome disc, love it. It just sort of sits exactly where I need it to when I throw it on that hyzer, comes down, or if I need something to give me a nice little flare into the basket, it gives me a nice little gentle flare. Other than that, I do have 3 throwing putters that I do bust out, 2 of which are glow. I've got a pretty stock glow proxy that I do throw quite a bit when I need something to go nice and super straight without any sort of a fade. I've also got my Envy here as well. Special shout out DFX there for that monthly Envy. Nice overstable, I mean, it's an Envy. Sorry, Chris, gotta love the Envies. However, I'd be amiss to not mention the fact that prior to the glitch coming out, all I putted with were the pilots. And so I'd like to think of myself as an honorary squadron member because that's all I used was the special edition pilots nonstop for about 9 months to a year before the glitch came out. Glitch became my Circle 2 putter, and I realized that I could do the same motion from Circle 2 as Circle 1 with the pilot, and then slowly but surely the glitch just sort of took over. But I do love my pilots as well. As far as throwing putters in the upper section here, in the main, getting into the main meat of it, I've got my spin. It's a good understable throwing putter for me, to be honest, because I don't have a great forehand. So when I need it to finish to the right hard, this is sort of my cheater disc. I can throw it sort of high and left, and it just knows it's going to get down to the right reliably and not accidentally hook up. That pretty much. One other putter that I have in the bag I really sort of want to talk about right now, and that is this Envy here. This Envy was a secondary sort of a practice disc, a disc I really wanted to work into my bag, but now after last weekend I hit my first ever tournament ace with this Envy. You can go to my page and see the video, but hit this at Crosswinds hole 18. It's a death hole with nothing but water straight behind it and an out of bounds golf green just before. Threw it with a little hyzer, popped up, rode out, hit the chains at 200 feet, won myself $300 for my first tournament ace. But that pretty much wraps up my putters, guys. And moving on to the mids, folks. First and foremost, I do have this one sort of special one that I picked up not too long ago, but it has immediately fallen in love with it. It's an out of production Vertex. They don't make it anymore, obviously. It's patent pending. Circuit event disc from 2017. But it flies basically like I want my Detour to fly once it hits a few more trees. It's a nice understable mid. Again, without my forehand, I can throw it nice and hard and flat and know it's just gonna slowly leak out to the right hand side, finish for me. After that, I've pretty much got my most well, we talked about the Paradox, and that's a bit of a utility disc for me. Really sky high panning anhyzer if I needed it or to get me out of trouble. But other than that one, I've got my standard, actual usable backhand most understable disc that I keep in my bag is that uplink. The Gyropalooza one, when it first came out, from my understanding, the putting line is a little higher, so it does give you just a little bit more beef out of it. But I love these things, can get it to hold that turnover out to 250, 275 or so. And of course, there's the Detour. I think anybody sort of who's been throwing DFX anytime recently has at least tried it out. I like it. As I mentioned sort of earlier, I want it to hit a few more trees and sort of really beat in to a real nice sort of understable panning disc for me. Other than that, I've got my, because that flight right there is real similar to my nice sort of medium 160 weight Vision Hex. It hit the bag when MVP Open happened the other year. The special edition came out, it went in my bag and it hasn't come out. It's been my go-to hex since since I had it. Before that, I had a nice Skullboy one I lost. This replaced it, and it flew just like my beat-in Neutron, so I like that one a lot. Moving a little bit up in stability, I've got my Fission Reactor. This Fission Reactor though is only 158 grams. I really, you'll see, enjoy my lightweight Fission discs. The Reactor here flies for me sort of like my Pilot does, or like any sort of a nice neutral stable putter, but with an additional 25 to 30 feet of distance on it for me. I can throw it nice and hard and flat. It goes straight, 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 maybe a teeny bit of turn, and then a nice sort of reliable finish at the end there without flaring out too hard. If I need something that's not going to show me that little bit of turn, or give me a little bit more hyzer holding throughout the whole course, again, special shout out to Don for this hookup here, this Tempo. One of the ones that was turned back into him from the Gyropalooza box this year. Love my robot Tempo here. Still working it into my bag exactly, but it falls rather nicely so far into a stability slot right in between that really lightweight Fission Reactor and the next disc in our lineup, or at least my lineup. I've got the Hyzer King Prism Proton or Plasma Prism Plasma Pyro, excuse me, quite a few P's there. This one also, of course, is one of those limited LTDs monthlies, but this one here, worked it into my bag once it came in. I love it. It gives me a nice big flare without being so overstable that it likes to dump on you too soon. But once it does hit the ground, it gives you that nice reliable ground play and nice flare skip off to that left-hand side. It's one of the discs that I can sort of work into my forehand game as a little approach shot. If I need a little chip into the green or something like that, the stability there really works well for me. And then lastly in the mid-range lineup, we've got the Deflector. This was one of the first discs that I've had in my MVP bag. It's still in my bag. It's a very, very overstable mid-range. Will fight out of anything you might have. It is a great, great, very overstable mid-range for approach shots. If you need to get out of trouble as well, it is something that you can reliably count on to fight out of just about anything you need without going too far. You can really muscle up on it, and the mid-range and the fat profile really help to keep it from going too crazy far, at least for me, as opposed to say some of my higher speed drivers, but gives me that still nice stable finish to it. I think that wraps up the mid-ranges, guys. All right, moving on to the fairways, slightly faster discs. Signal. I am so happy that they finally announced that they're going to be restocking these. I gotta have me a Signal in the bag. It's a great roller disc. If you have not used one, think Paradox, but a little more a little bit faster. Maybe like a lighter weight or one of the not in Gyropalooza uplinks, but it's a great disc. Throw it on hyzer, flips up, rolls over for you. You can throw it out there nice and flat. It'll get down to edge, give you a cut roller, a little bit of ante on it, gives you a nice little long distance roller for you. Great understable fairway. Past that, we've got sort of these two. I'm still sort of trying to get this special edition Fission rhythm beat in a little bit more. It flies really similar to my special shout out to Matt Dollar there. Appreciate it, Matt. We played that round down in Lula the other year. Gotta shout him out. Appreciate it, brother. He's actually the one that turned me on to the lighter weight Fission discs. This 163 Fission Crave that I've got from him flies real similar, but it's been used quite a bit more, so I'm hoping to beat this one in to get it to be a little bit less stable for me, giving me that nice little panning S bend for me. We've also got the servo whenever the wind is up a little bit, or if I'm afraid the crave might not come back in time. This sort of nice neutron beat-in swirly servo does the trick pretty much anytime. The only one of the Fairways that's a glow disc in the glow pocket that I use quite a bit on a reliable basis is this special edition Halloween reactor. I'm gonna get the dead man's hand in there, but I haven't worked it into the bag yet. However, this here is a go-to for me on my forehand roller, to be honest. Use this on a forehand roller, a little bit of angle, it'll pop up and ride out and eventually almost always end up finishing to the left. Gives me about 230, 240 before it finishes off to the left-hand side, but it's a really nice, reliable forehand roller disc as well as a good backhand over stable fairway. That there wraps up our fairways, folks. Moving on to the drivers, slightly faster discs. These first two though, don't see too much in the way of backhand use. These are my go-to thumber discs. I've got a Virus, Proton Virus, special die, not by my choosing, it actually got adopted, brought up to Jersey, turned back in, had this die on it, but special shout out to the guy who actually brought the disc back home to me. This disc here is my go-to thumber. Anything that's between 160 and 180 feet, I can throw this, and on a dime it'll drop down, cut off to the right, and settle in there. Go-to thumber disc. This Insanity, for those that have tried it, you know how beef of a beefcake this thing is, or at least most of them are. This thing here has seen so much use that I can throw this thing on a really steep highs, or it'll pop up right over and cut roll for me. It is also a go-to thumber disc if I need just a little bit more distance, closer to the 200 feet. All right, moving on to the fairways that I actually throw backhand. We've got this whole batch right here. First and foremost, DFX, you know, gotta shout you guys out, love it, honk honk goose gang. My Fission DFX here, this one's seen quite a bit of use. I actually lost this one down there at that Lula tournament with Matt Dollar, it turned back in. Good S flight for me. After that, I know some people use these as fairways. They're technically fairways, but for me, they sort of fall into the driver range or a little bit more of the backhand range. These Trance, still beating this one in, but it gives me a nice understable complement to my Volt. That's all I got to say about the Volt. Everybody knows what a Volt does. It's a great driver. Bendy James here has been through a lot with me, beating into a nice straight driver with a good reliable finish. Trance, a great little understable complement to go with that. Moving on, we do have the one beefcake of a disc that I like to throw backhand. This Fireball here, good skippy driver. Everybody's got to have an overstable utility driver or fairway driver. This is the one for me. It is also one of my go-to forehand rollers. So anybody out there who's seen me ever play on the course, you've seen me throw those crazy forehand rollers that go out there and just seem to peel up right where they need to. This is that disc you've seen me throwing, that ball, World on Fire Fireball from DFX. And then we've got the high-speed drivers. For my high-speed drivers in here, I've got this out of production Thrill. I'm starting with this beefcake because it normally gets pulled out of the bag whenever I need something to be just a little bit faster or a touch more beefy than this, but that's about the only time this thing actually sees much use. Then we actually start with my most understable of the high-speed drivers. I've got my Orbital here. Again, another disc I'm super excited that they're going to be restocking for us, especially in those lighter weights. This actually is a max weight one that I put back in the bag because I just lost my super light 155 this last weekend at the tournament. This disc here is a pretty cool one. It is a Fission Vanish. For those not in the know, that's a really hard disc to get your hands on since it was never really in a full production run. But this Fission Vanish, still getting beat into perfection, but gives me a really nice, really good S-bend, full flight out to that 300 foot plus range turnover if I need to, or 350 full S flights. Moving on past that, I've also got this Fission Defy, another one of those discs that's kind of hard to get your hands on, only came out in the Gyropalooza box. This is a super lightweight Fission Defy, 150 something grams. Sticker's been off for a while, but I love this disc as well. I can throw this really hard and flat, and it kind of just finishes down into the right for me without hooking up to the middle or to the left at all. I have what is now my Fission Wave in the bag as of this weekend. I threw my awaiting Heicheman Fission Wave into the drink, hoping to get it out this weekend at this following tournament on a temporary course. Gonna go for a swim if nobody else does by the end of the weekend. But this is my new Fission Wave. It's 155 grams. It's a wave. If you haven't thrown one, I highly suggest doing it. It's a great understable complement to my Fission Photon. This is my Fission Photon. Love this one here in particular. Was lucky enough to pick up this 152 gram Fission Photon at IDGC from the pro shop there. They had a lot of really nice, great lightweight Fission discs. I do have one of the Pursuit Badlands ones on the rack at the house that I am waiting to put into the bag whenever this one either beats in a little too much or follows the way of the waiting Heicheman one into the drink where I can't get it back. But definitely have a Badlands one working its way into the bag. Fission Photon's been my go-to driver. Speaking of Fission Photons, I've got the double stamped Gargoyle one. This is a max weight, or closer to max weight, 172. Still new, still has a lot more beef to it. Whenever I need something not necessarily as distance far or something to fight a headwind, I reach for this one. Obviously the 150 something Photon doesn't seem to fight the wind all that well, go figure. Speaking of fighting the wind or trying to go max distance into a headwind, I have this Fission Octane. Was lucky enough also to find this one at the IDGC. It's 156 grams. As I mentioned, I like that lightweight Fission. It tends to just leave my hand real nice and easy. It hooks up reliably at the end without having to give it all the juice in the world to get it there, especially into a headwind. This Octane will really mash it out there nice and long for me. There is one last driver that I keep on the side here, still working it into my bag. I think anybody worth their salt on MVP has at least tried to throw one of these. It's the time lapse. Got this one from Don at DFX, special Ice Bowl 2024 stamp, sort of watermelon-esque colors, nice swirl in the rim there, but really like the look of this disc. Haven't found a spot for it in my game. All right, guys, well that takes care of the meat of the subject. But we still have these auxiliary discs that I have on the front and back of my cart here. We got the glow discs. As I mentioned, I am a glitch guy, so glitch gang all day. Gotta have the glow glitch. I got a max weight one here, 164. Awesome disc. Like it to fight the wind because you know the glitch does not fight the wind that well. So whenever I go to use my my glitch on the windy days, it tends to be this one. Nice straight shooter for me. Likes to drop down without gliding too far. Moving on, we've got a special glow, electron glow envy that came out from the mostly surprise electron mystery box a couple years ago. Great thrower, great flight, and I love the way that this electron plastic feels in my hand. Really similar to sort of the Fission. It's beaten in really nice to a good straight shooter. We have that glow pilot that I talked about earlier, and that wraps up sort of my glow putters that I've got there. The Envy and the Proxy, but those are more throwers than they are putters. We've already talked about those though. Moving on to the glow mid-ranges, I've got a Space Race glow Paradox, again without my forehand being really relevant in my game. I have the Paradox there sort of as my cheater disc, being able to throw that high and left, finishes off to the right for me. As far as sort of I do have of course the Lazadal. My Lazadal though has seen some better days. It got sort of pinched between the pole of my Zuka cart and the trunk of my car last summer, and so it kind of flies like a broken record, or a warped record if you will. Flies straight, looks like it. Got a Fission Crave, or excuse me, R2 Glow Crave here. Great straight shooter fairway. Nice. This R2 anyways seems to be a nice stable run of it, not too understable, at least compared to my Fission, that's for sure. And then another sort of rare and hard to find disc here, the Glow Virus, beefcake of a glow disc. For a virus, I've never seen a more stable virus, of course, but still working this into a few more trees to eventually get me into a nice understable glow disc. Also works well as sort of a good thumber disc whenever I need something a little bit actually more stable than that Glow Insanity. And then lastly, we've got the Blue Glow prototype Inertia. Came out in that Gyropalooza box. Love this disc. Flies like a little bit less stable Volt for me. Definitely more stable than any other Inertia you've probably thrown. And then the Glow Wave. This is also a really good thumber disc for me. It gives me a nice long distance out to about 230, 240 straight thumber, as well as a good backhand disc, full S flight, but the special edition OTB Glow Wave, gotta love that one as well.
Hey, Robbie.
Hey.
Why don't you show everybody the back of the disc, how you can find your disc if you ever lose them?
Oh yeah. So on the back of my discs, I'm actually have these little stamps that I had made. I use a thing called Stays On. I think most people are familiar with that if you use your own stamps. But I just went to stamps.com, was actually able to have these made up real nice. Took the logo, they did all the work for me as far as monochromating it, turning it into a stamp. And then if anybody ever finds it, I've got the nice little, you know, be a nice person, little moniker there to hopefully wink wink nudge nudge actual winky face there, get my disc back, and it's worked quite a bit. And last but not least, we've got my little rubber pouch, my cheater discs that I keep back here on the backside. Got a couple fairways here, the Binks, good, a little understable. I do like it in this OG, or excuse me, the new Comber plastic. They did it in the more stable plastic, excuse me, the slightly firmer plastic, but it came out to be a less stable of a disc, which is a great disc, but I enjoy the Binks for straight shots down the alleyways. If it hits a tree, it just tends to drop down and not go too far. We got the Glow Gecko. The Glow one from Elevation is a nice overstable disc, gives you a nice reliable torque resistant fairway. With the Glow, it means I'm not going to lose it if it does decide to settle underneath a few leaves. We've got the Worm. This is the one rubber disc I have that's not from Elevation. This one is from Divergent. This is very much a beefcake. It's almost a tilt, but of a rubber disc. Love this disc. It's a great get out of jail card. Throw it on a spike hyzer, it gets out, stays skinny through the trees, tends to find a way through. Really enjoy the Worm there. As far as sort of the other discs here, the slower range, I do have a couple putters, 2 Coys, and 2 different rubbers here. Both of these Coys are great approach discs. They're great putting putters. I used to putt exclusively with the black and pink Infinite Discs Limited Koi, a little softer than the OGs. That was my exclusive putter before the Pilot came out, before the glitch, as we were talking about. I've also got the Arowana. It's a nice Glow putter from them as well. This Glow putter, Glow plastic works really well. Not quite as good as the MVP, of course, but it still works tremendously well as far as finding your discs at night. And then we've got these 2 Elevation Interceptors. This one here is a little bit more sturdy in the rubber. It's the Glow plastic as well. Gotta have some Glow. But then we got the OG, and this is one of my go-to sort of cheater discs. And anybody who's been out on the course with me has seen me bust this disc out. I've actually used this thanks in part to Terry West. Special shout out to Terry and his technique called the Terry Toss, where you can throw it upside down with your thumb like this, and it flies and drops down like this and just hits the ground and settles. And hopefully it hits the basket and settles right inside. Whenever that happens, it's always a fun time. All right, folks. And that wraps up my in the bag, my swaggin' bag for 2024. Appreciate your time, your commitment that it took to get through this whole bag with us. Special shout out to Broad Creek Disc Golf Club, our home course here, Hover Links. Brandon Beat, again with FrizzBeat Productions and Beat Disc Golf. And make sure to follow me on Facebook. I'm not big on Instagram, but make sure to follow me on Facebook. I'm a boat captain. Lots of great videos and adventures going on, especially here as the season picks up. So please make sure to follow along and follow my adventures, guys. I appreciate your time. Thank you.